What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker Bushcraft. So in a recent video we talked about the M6 Scout survival rifle and we questioned, is it the best survival rifle of all time? And the conclusion that we came to from that video, at least I'm assuming all of us are pretty much on the same page, is that it's right up there with maybe the best. It's a 410 shot shell over a 22 long rifle gun, and it holds the ammo in the stock, and it works great. It was originally developed for military survival. I'll put down in the link, you can go watch that video. But you can't talk about that gun and not talk about anything else, because you have to address this good old boy, the single shot shotgun. So the single shot shotgun definitely plays a role in traditional woodcraft. I mean, you don't get much more, look at this thing, you just don't get much more traditional than this. From bird hunting to small game to even larger game like deer, you can take any of that stuff out with this gun. So does this thing rank up there as one of the best survival rifles of all time? It might, but you might need some add-ons to go with this in order to really take it to that level. So let's just talk about the gun itself before we talk about them add-ons, okay? And I'll give you my experience with this, because I have not only 3, I have 5, I have 6 of these things. I'm just thinking how many I have laying around. I have 6 of these. I got them over the years. I bought some. I was given some from some family members who passed away. I mean, just good guns overall. So I have a lot of experience with them. We'll give a quick rundown of the gun, talk about my experience, what I like, what I don't like, and then we'll talk about some other stuff to go along with these. All right, so the guns themselves, a bunch of different manufacturers. This one's a New England Firearms. This one right here is a Harrington and Richardson. I know that there are other manufacturers that also make them. So lots of different people make these guns over the years. I like the wooden stocks because, again, woodsy, traditional. I mean, it just feels nice to hunt with one of these in the fall while you're out there. Now, the gun themselves, if you don't know anything about these things, shotgun, so just a smooth bore barrel on these. You press the release here and that's the break action. You would load your shell in here, lock it this way, okay, cock the hammer, kaboom, right? Shoot any of the game that you need, or maybe just some targets, whatever you are looking to do. They come apart really easily. You just take this screw off, it removes the hand guard, and then your barrel comes right off, and it's just a big piece of metal. So you can soak this thing in any kind of degreasers or anything you would need to clean that thing up if you need to do so. And then in the field, you can also just open this up, and it's really easy. You just look right down that barrel, and hopefully you can see my eyeball through there, right? Clean that thing out with a stick or whatever you would need to in order to keep it operational. Now let's talk about caliber. I originally bought a 12 gauge, so that is a bigger shell if you don't know much about shotguns, way bigger than that 410 shot shell that we looked at on the Survival M6 Scout rifle. Now, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", 240 pounds. I like to think I'm pretty muscular and pretty tough. 12 gauge throws you around and it puts a hurting on you. It's actually unpleasant to shoot, and for a long time I shot that and I would dread pulling that trigger because it's just going to beat me up, especially if I was out having fun for the day, just target shooting or shooting some clays. Not good. I don't know. But you feel like you got to shoot the 12 gauge. And then came into my life a 20 gauge. I shot this a few times and I fell in love with it. Like, this is my baby right here. Now I know it's not as manly as the good old 12 gauge, but I have killed everything in hunting that I have done with the 12 gauge in a much more comfortable fashion and a much more enjoyable fashion with a 20 gauge. So I'm gonna argue with you out there that say you need 12 gauge. Not so much. I shot pheasants, I have shot quail, I have shot rabbits and squirrel. I also even took out a doe a few years back with a slug shot out of this thing. So it's definitely very versatile in that sense, and it's way more pleasurable to shoot. So I would highly recommend, if you're gonna get a gun like this, to go down the 20 gauge route. I personally, like I said, I really like that gauge a lot more than the 12 gauge, and it doesn't beat you up near as much as the 12 gauge. And then last but not least, size wise. So you're gonna notice that this barrel is a lot longer than this barrel. This is the canoe model. It's shorter and it's a lot better for crawling around the eastern woodlands because you're in thicker brush. It just doesn't get in the way as much as this little bit longer barrel. Now, yes, very negligible there, but I would say still shorter, all the better than some of these longer ones. These are just a little bit tougher to find. So in my personal opinion overall, I mean, this gun ranks up with the best of them when it comes to a woodsman style gun. Simple to operate, simple to clean, simple to maintain, and just with a few different rounds in your pocket, you can do a lot. But then, guess what? There's even more. And that's where I think that this gun starts to shine, but also can become a little bit confusing. Then we move into these items. These are the adapters that can go inside the gun and change the caliber of the gun. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind with this. These adapters, let's first talk about who makes them. Short Lane Arms, I'm not affiliated with them. These are just the adapters that I have and had over the years. It's through that company. I'm sure other people at this point make them, but they're the ones that I've went with. When you're buying these adapters, it's important to get rifle adapters. Now, I have not looked at these for a long time online. These are quite a few years old at this point. You want to make sure there's rifling in them. For example, if you just put a 22 bullet and you shoot it without a rifled adapter, what happens is the bullet has a very crazy flight pattern. If we have some rifling, which in this case I'm going to say that's probably about 6 to 8 inches of rifling, it's going to make the bullet spin properly down this adapter. It's going to come out and have a much better, more consistent flight and more consistency of hitting your target. So definitely rifled adapters. Now, muzzleloader adapter, okay? This is going to be short because this thing's hollowed out on the inside, so something like this, it doesn't affect at all. Again, we're going to be utilizing the actual barrel of the shotgun itself to shoot that stuff downrange, so that is going to work perfectly with an adapter like this. So with that said, when we team up our adapter with the gun, it literally takes it to a new level. The only thing that I have seen over the years, or experienced, I don't want to say seen, experienced over the years with this, is that when you start getting too many adapters, too much ammunition, different shotgun shells, you start to weigh yourself down and it's just too much. It's like overload. So my go-to with this system itself has been my Canoe 20 gauge single shot, and then I carry along here some birdshot and 1 or 2 slugs. That gives me full gamut to take out any small game, and I can also take out something like a white-tailed deer with it. And then I'll usually carry my 22 adapter also, because that way if I'm on the trap line to dispatch animals, I can stick this in and then I get the best of both worlds. But overall, quite a good gun, especially add the adapters in. Definitely something you as a woodsman or outdoor goer, or woods lady, and we don't want to let the ladies out of this, right? They might like to shoot guns too. Definitely a worthwhile traditional way to go about it. That wraps up this video. We'll give this one, we'll give it an 8 out of 10. We give the survival rifle a 9 out of 10. Maybe we'll find a gun that is a 10 out of 10 at some point, but for now, that's about as good as I think we got. So if you like this video, hit like and subscribe down below. You can also check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all our classes, our gear, and our blog. And until the next video, stay loaded, stay in the woods. Wow.